Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you are new. My name is Heather. I'm a homeschooling mom of 3 kids, elementary, middle, and high school age. We are in our 12th year homeschooling this year. Today is going to be part 1 of who knows how many of goal setting. If you are not subscribed, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you are notified of all of my future videos. Yeah, so let's get into it. If you have been watching my goals videos this year, you will know that I have kind of stepped away from using the power sheets, and it was mainly because it just wasn't working for me anymore. I have been using power sheets since 2014, and I was kind of floundering this year. That doesn't mean that the power sheets are a bad product at all. There are still so many people that use that product. I think it is wonderful. I bought the power sheets for 2023 to review and go through to see if it was something that I would still want to use. Maybe they had made some changes that would make sense to me for 2023, but they did not. And it's much smaller than it's ever been. And I just really like to have a lot of space for reflection and fleshing out ideas and such. So I knew that I was going to have to change my goal planning system for 2023. Now, if you see behind me, I have been using the dashboard pages in my Erin Condren life planner to plan out my action items and my monthly to-dos, things that I need to get done in the month that relate to my goals, as well as some other things that I'm tracking monthly. And I'm really enjoying it quite a bit. So that is going to be my plan for 2023. I will continue to do my monthly goal setting in my life planner dashboard pages. And then I have a Leuchtstrom lined notebook. This is a B5 size, composition size, that I will be using for my planning, my goal planning, all of my goals, writing out my goals, goal ideas, as well as quarterly refreshes. So today I'm going to kind of take you through some of the beginning steps that I do as I'm starting to think about goals, so that hopefully you can also start to think about goals for yourself for the new year. I have said this in a lot of different places, but I have been goal setting since I was in high school. It's something that I love to do. I love a New Year's reflection. I love to take that time between Christmas and New Year's and really dive deep on the things that have happened throughout the year, changes that I want to make, all of those types of things. This is obviously a little bit earlier than the last week of the year, but when I go back and look at my goals that I used to share on my website, I used to do huge write-ups of goals starting, I think, in 2011, and I would start to share my goals mid-January because I needed to kind of decompress from the holidays and make sure that what I was setting out was something that I really wanted to work on. So most of my goals I would set and share mid-January. Now I'm trying to be better about sharing my goals earlier so that maybe you can take some tips from me. I know that a lot of people are already setting goals for 2023. I'm not there yet, but I wanted to kind of go through and share how I think about goals because it is a little bit different. I am not a SMART goals person. I do not use that acronym to set my goals, and it's mainly the time-bound section that I struggle with. When I think of goals, the way that I think of goals is that I have specific focus areas in my life that I want to improve on. And I never feel like those focus areas are finished. There is always room for growth. I always think that there is something that can be tweaked or done better. Does that mean that I am 100% in on every focus area of my life every year? Not necessarily, but I do try to continue to make small improvements each year. Obviously, things change and life circumstances change, and so how you think about those focus areas will change. So I have 5 main focus areas: spiritual, family, homeschool, business, and personal. And I color code those 5 areas. Personal actually has a lot more in it. It also has financial and home goals. And even though financial goals and home goals are things that I will work on and talk about with my husband, a lot of the implementation is mine. It is something that I plan and execute myself, and they are important areas to me. So when I am planning out my monthly action items, weekly, and habit things, they are all under my green personal color. And I do that partly for balance, because I know that if I had two more colors, it would just be too much. And so I have those 5 focus areas, and within those 5 focus areas, I do have action steps that are time bound. Not every action step is time bound, but there are a lot of them that will be time bound, and maybe that is how people drill down on goals more. They think of those action steps as goals, whereas my goals are improvement in my focus areas. So that is the first thing. Now, the progress that I make every year is very dependent on life circumstances. I have a particular set of resources that I am able to use, mainly time and money, and every person is going to have a different allotment of each based on choices that you make, based on where you live, your socioeconomic status, all of those things. So, what works for me may not work for you, but I hope that you are able to garner some encouragement from what I share. Things can change throughout the year. When I set my goals in December of 2019, I had an entirely different idea of what 2020 was going to look like. Number one, I didn't think we were going to be moving into a new house. Number two, I didn't think that the world was going to shut down. So those were 2 huge things that happened in 2020 for me personally and for a lot of you as well. And it derailed my entire year, and I had to shift a lot of what I had planned, and that was okay. In 2021, life was completely different. And then in 2022, things have been different again. And every year brings new challenges, and that's okay. It's a lot of it is about attitude and how you are able to overcome those challenges. So I just want to encourage you that little progress, small little bits of progress is still progress. And maybe you don't get to that reach goal that you thought you might at the beginning of the year, but that's okay. The whole name of the game for me is progress. You just want to make progress, forward momentum. That's what you want. So the first step in my goal setting process every year usually starts in the fall. And typically what happens is I will start to think about things that I want to improve on or change. And I know that realistically, I do not have time to start implementing these big changes in the last couple of months of a calendar year. Once October hits, it starts to be a really busy season for my family. We have a lot of birthdays in October. Then we are finishing up our homeschool term, usually by Thanksgiving, and then we're taking our homeschool break, and we are working on Christmas and all of the holiday traditions that we have. So it's a busy time, and it's not a time to start implementing new goal ideas. So what I do instead is I just start to write them down. I have all of my focus areas on a particular page, and then I will just write down things as they come to my mind. Now, typically what I do and what I've done for many years is I will just have a little notebook that I keep that is a brain dump notebook. And I use this for all of my brain dumping things that I need. So what I did, I think that I wanted to start in the little notebook, but I knew that I was going to be using this notebook this year, and so I didn't want to have it in 2 places. The first thing that is in my planner in my goal notebook is my focus areas. So I have personal goals, I have my business goals, my homeschool goals, and then I also have family and spiritual growth in here as well, all with their own color. That's how it typically works. I don't have a ton of stuff in here because I really just started working on this like 2 days ago. And then, so I have several extra pages just in case I happen to have a bunch more brain dumping, list making to do. Now, my next step is a reflection. It is going through all of the things that happened in the previous year and just getting all of my thoughts out on paper. And I have to kind of do this before I do anything else, because that's kind of how I process getting everything out on paper, or also talking a lot will help that. But so I just write a ton of stuff on these note pages, and I will just go through and brain dump everything that happened throughout the year, all of the challenges, anything that happened that is just still weighing on my mind will go in there. One perfect example is that December through April, like December 2021 through April 2022, my kids passed stomach flu and other sicknesses around almost every single week. It was, I've never had a household so sick as we did last year. It was miserable. There was so much stomach flu and laundry, and it was not pleasant. It is something that has been on my mind constantly all year. I just keep thinking, oh, well, we couldn't do X, Y, and Z because Lucy and Jack were sick, or Emma was sick, or I was sick. And so I have to really process that, because if I don't write all of those things down, not that it's an excuse, but just to give myself a frame of reference. Well, why didn't I do more stuff between January and April? Well, it's mainly because I was so focused on healing our bodies from sickness. And so I have to understand that that was a big part of our year. And because of that, some other things that I had planned did not happen. And so once I'm able to write all of that stuff down, I let it go from my head. Does that mean that I probably should do that right along? Yes, and I do sometimes do that, but it really helps me in a goal setting planning process to do that. Even though I journal regularly and have written down, why are my kids sick again? Probably a million times. I've talked about it on many videos. Why are my kids sick again? But writing it in my goal planner, getting all of that stuff down, all of those feelings related to things that have happened this year, good and bad things, is very helpful for me. And it helps put me in a good frame of mind so that I can start moving forward and I can start setting my goals. And then the next step is for me to sit down and answer two big questions. What went well? And what were the challenges? Now, I do this on a regular basis in my homeschool planning. I tend to review each month at the end of the month on my planning day so that I can have a good idea of what's going on. But it also helps me to kind of step back and look at the bigger items of things that went well and things that were challenges throughout the year. And so I will write down what went well and what my challenges were. That's the next section of my notebook. I've been working on that today, and I think it's super helpful because a lot of those challenges, you can sort of see, well, is it because I did not have a particular system in place to manage that challenge? Or is it because of an outside influence that something happened and the challenge was the result of that? Or whatever it is, because when you kind of get down to why there was a challenge or why something went well, you will know what you need to focus on for the new year. It helps you to see, well, why did this thing go so well? Was it because I implemented a new system? Was it because I let go of expectations? Was it this certain new tool that I purchased that was super helpful. The same thing with the challenges. Is it because I didn't implement a system? Is it because I took too much on at once when I knew that I should have said no to something? I said yes to too many things. You know, figuring out why you had the challenges and why you had the successes, I think is a good part of goal setting, and it's something that I do every year. And then the next step that I want to talk about today, and it's kind of where I'm going to wrap up, is after you kind of do that reflection and asking what went well and what your challenges were, that's when I start to really create a mind map of what 2023 is going to look like. What are my goal ideas? Now, I will take the focus areas and some of the ideas that I've written down on my brain dump lists, and I will include those as some of the main ideas. Now, on my personal list, I almost already have like 100 lines filled in. So am I going to complete 100 things this year? No. Are some of those things all relating to one larger thing that then those small things are action steps? Yes. So going through my brain dump lists, as well as looking at what my reflection was and the challenges and successes that I've had, I start to understand more of where I need to concentrate my time. Okay. So I have overarching goals in my focus areas for the year. However, I do mainly focus on the first quarter of the year, and I tend to manage my goals in 12-week chunks. And this is mainly based on the book, The 12-Week Year. I really like that book. I recommend it. And how you kind of work on goals, that's kind of how I do it. So that's where I'm going to leave off today. I would love to know if you are using a goal planner this year, if you're using a notebook, if you are setting goals at all, if you have some ideas of goals, let me know what they are in the comments. You can always email me. My contact form is in the description box. I would love to hear more about what you're thinking of 2023. It's really exciting for me to have a fresh start. I love a Monday. I love a new month. I love a new quarter. I love a new year. All of that freshness and just being able to start over and say, this is going to be a different day, a different month, a different year. I think that's super important. I hope that this was helpful for you. I will be sharing a lot more about my goals as we continue moving towards 2023. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks, guys. Bye.